So here I am again. This is Laura Workala from Laura's Sewing School with the channel Sewing Genius on YouTube. So what I'm going to do is I made a video yesterday to show you how to do already made extra wide double fold bias tape as a edge finish and the ties for a mask. And I heard that 32 inches is supposed to be the best measurements. So what I did is that I have a measuring thing on the table here, but I know you can't see it because I looked at the video and it's like looks invisible. This is a raised ruler, so you can't see it, but I basically went 16 and 16 to get my 32 inches. Now the best way to find the center of that is to fold it. And I'm going to make a mark with a friction marker, which is a marker that will disappear with the iron. I'm going to mark here, and then I'm going to mark here. Now, extra, like any bias tape is called that. Tape is anything that is a long, thin, narrow piece of something. You know, like ribbon is a tape. The fabric side of a zipper is called the zipper tape. Scotch tape is tape. You know, so this is called bias tape, you see, because it's flat and long. Now, bias tape is different than this. Like this, no, not this mask. Well, the back of this mask is fabric that was cut, so the threads go this way and this way. When you have bias tape, the bias tape, instead of being cut parallel to the thread lines in the fabric, they're cut diagonally. And what that does is it allows the tape to take a shape, a curve, without getting rumply, to lay flat in a curve or whatever. And it can have a little stretch. The pre-made bias tape doesn't really have much stretch. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't stretch a lot, you know. But it's really great for finishing an edge. And it's great when it's pre-made because then you don't have to make it yourself. I did a video before I did this that has little girls on the fabric, and I made the video was how to make the tape and then how to apply it to the side of the mask. So anyway, I'm hoping that if we do have to make ties for the masks because elastic is in short supply, that we can just use pre-made bias tape. So if we use, this is called extra wide double fold bias tape. There's only one company that makes packaged tape, and it's Wrights, W-R-I-G-H-T-S. You can find it at Joann's. You can find it here at Fabric Corner, which is in the same building as me, though with Massachusetts having a stay-at-home order, they're not really open. But anyway, what you're going to do is that we want to have this be on the top. Now this, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe with the shadows you can. But it turns out that this top layer you want that to be narrower than the bottom layer. All bias tape is made so that it's not actually folded exactly in half. It's folded almost in half. So when you sew close to this edge, you know you're going to catch this edge when you sew that. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to first secure it to the mask. Then I'm going to sew the whole length of this so that it keeps those ties closed. Now this is ultimately going to end up wrapping around this edge here, okay? But I want to make sure it's going to do that well and that this isn't going to roll this way and miss the bottom edge. So I'm going to sew this edge, this fold, to this mask. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to open it up like this, and I'm going to open it up like this, and I'm going to open it again and match those marks. Now you can see why I kept moving that mark around. So I'm going to go here, pin there. And you don't have to pin through all the layers. This is really thick by now, this mask, with the layers and the pleats and everything like that. You see those pleats really add a lot of thickness. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew to the top of the mask and to the bottom of the mask. You see here? Let me lift that up for you. See? And you can feel where that is, so it's very easy to make that mark. Put it down in the dish. Put that away. Okay, so I'm going to sew, oh, and there's a crease right here, and I'm going to sew in this fold line right here. So, let's see. I can even draw it if I want. If you're afraid that you can't see it or the lighting on your machine makes it so you can't see it, well, then that can be really good to have that line drawn. Okay, so I'm going to start on here and go here. Whoops, pull the pin out. Put the needle down, back stitch. go forward. And back, okay? Okay. Oh, there's a thread here because I had to do a new bobbin, and you always get the thread tails. Okay, now it is sewn on that line. That line will disappear with the iron because it's a friction marker. So don't think because I'm using a pen or a marker that you can use any old thing. Otherwise you're going to have marks that never go away. So now I'm going to lift this up. Just kind of pull on it. It will fold right at that line because you sewed in the folded area. Then you're going to wrap it around here. And now if you look closely, you'll see that that lower layer extends further than the upper layer. So that means if we sew close to this edge of the upper layer, if we sew here, we will catch that lower layer. So what I can do to make sure that that stays is I can pin, you know, kind of pin this end and pin this end. What's nice is, I'm sorry, my hands are always in the way. I apologize. That looks good. Okay. So now I'm going to start all the way down here. No, I'm not getting a snack. I'm just getting some paper. So, I might want a snack. Okay, so here, okay, so I'm going to put this paper here because as I go back, I don't want the needle to be shoving that paper into the oblong hole. This is called the throat plate. The oblong hole in the throat plate, if you're at the very end, it can kind of shove it into the hole and you get a jam, and we don't want that. So I put this paper underneath, and it's just tissue paper like I've used elsewhere. And then it allows me to just sew right to the end. You'll notice that my hands are acting kind of like a passageway or a chute, C-H-U-T-E, for the bias tape to just run through as I'm sewing it. Okay, now I'm going to just straighten this out. Now the other thing is that I mentioned on the video with the bias tape I made, if this is loose, you can't steer it. Okay, do you see how there's a bump here? But the thing is if I just keep it the way it is, sitting there, you'll see that this is raised up in gaps a little bit, which can let these layers slide around. So what I like to do is I like to put a little tension on there, not a lot, but a little bit of tension, and then it stays flat and I can control it better. Pull the pin. Then I'll go to the other end. So you see my hands just stay put, and they're guiding the bias tape like that. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about cutting on the end of the bias tape. This may be okay. Let's see if it doesn't. It works okay. I just stopped about a stitch shy of the end because I didn't want it pushing in there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Oops. Oh, well, I guess these snippers are not as snippy. Guess I need to get a different pair. Okay, I'm just going to cut that straight at the end of the stitching. Now, on the bias tape, since the threads are going like this to these edges, they're going crisscross, when you cut across like this, this will not fray because the threads are holding each other in. If this was cut on the grain, we'd have to cut it at a diagonal to keep the threads from coming off. But anyway, so with these, we'll just do that. So now here, where I sewed that like that, I can lift these up, like putting like butterfly wings coming together, and just peel it off. And it perforated it when you stitched it. So now this particular mask is ready. What I can do is I can go to the iron and remove those marks just by touching that with the iron, or just a little burst of steam will remove those marks completely, and you'll never know that I put them there. And then this mask, of course, has a nice shape and has the wire in the top so they can fit it around their nose. I don't think anyone's nose is that sharp, but you get the idea. So anyway, so I'm going to do one more video after this in which I'm going to do the skinny bias tape like this. All right?